more people to join. So on our side, but
Okay.
we don't mind to start now. Uh,
Okay.
we don't
Well,
mind to start because you are here. PRO
yeah.
is here. The
Yeah.
Dean of International is here. It's okay.
Okay, so in that case, I just want to start with the self-introduction. My name is Xiaochen Su. I'm based in Tokyo, Japan. Um, as I mentioned over on email, I'm running a small nonprofit organization that helps African students to consider studying abroad in Japan, in Japanese universities, right? So as part of this initiative, I'm trying to speak to different universities in Africa so that they can tell their students about our organization and all the programs that we help run in Japan, right? So our programs, we don't run programs ourselves, but we have partners, Japanese universities who are our partners. They provide information about programs that they have in their school that are currently taking foreign students, right? So the first step for us before we even introduce any programs from Japanese universities to your students is that I want to do a short presentation with your students about the benefits of studying Japan. So first they need to understand why they should consider studying Japan, right? Before they even consider studying any programs here. So I prepared a short presentation which I can share with you just about our organization and some of the reasons why students should consider studying Japan. So I will share
Yeah,
that with you.
before you do the presentation, please, I want to know do an introduction from our side and be
Okay.
sure of who is in the meeting because I'm seeing name I'm not conversant with. Please, myself, I'm the pro vice chancellor. Then I can see the director of international program here, and then the head of the director of public relations is also here. Please, who is Isaac Kwao? Can you introduce yourself?
Please, I'm a student here. I'm offering marketing, HND.
Yeah, but this meeting is not for students at the moment. First, are you controlling the meeting? First, are students invited? Hello, Foster. Hello, Foster. Foster, are you there?
I am there, Prof.
Please, are
Can
students
you hear
invited?
me?
I can hear you.
No, I have not extended invitation to students.
And so, please, my friend, you have to drop. You are not part of this meeting for now. Isaac Kwao.
So no problem. Okay. So no problem.
Okay, so apart from him, then I'm okay with the rest. First, as then you have to check. You have to enforce the control so that you know those who are adding. Thank you. Then we are okay, please.
Okay, therefore okay for me to proceed.
Yes, you can proceed, please.
Okay, great. Just a second. Let me share my screen with you. So I think you can see this presentation that I have here. Let me just start the presentation from the beginning. So this is the presentation that I want to share with all of your students. It's not necessarily for you, the faculty, but it's just for students so that they understand what are the benefits of studying Japan, right? So to give them all the reasons that studying Japan will be beneficial for them in terms of their career. So once they are interested in studying Japan, then later on, we can talk about the different programs from different universities that are on offer, right? So this will be the first step. I will go through the presentation really fast. I think because I will talk about it again with the students later on when we set up a meeting with the students. I won't go through them in a very detailed manner, right? So in terms of the content, basically, I want to first talk a little bit about our organization, as I just introduced myself, then followed by some of the benefits of studying Japan, including things like if they can have a professional career here after they graduate from a Japanese university, and things like the cost of studying here, as well as whether they can get scholarships to study here, right? And last, I want to talk a little bit about the future next steps, right? After they're interested, they can talk to us about potential programs they're interested in, and we can try to connect them with our partner universities. So first, I already mentioned we are a nonprofit organization that helps African students, many foreign students, to come to Japan to study in Japanese universities. Right? Right now, we focus a lot on African students because there are relatively few African students here, and many Japanese universities are interested in getting a more diverse group of foreign students in their universities. Right? So our goal is this, basically. On one hand, we talk to students in Africa to let them know about different opportunities available in Japanese universities. On the other hand, we talk to Japanese universities to tell them about all these African students who are interested in studying their universities, so that they can provide information about how foreign students can apply to their programs. And also, we also try to speak to some government agencies to facilitate more foreign students coming to Japan to study, right? So we talk to, there's 3 different groups: the students, the universities, and government agencies, so that all of them are on the same page with regard to getting more foreign students to come to Japan. Now, why are we, well, this is a little bit of my first self-introduction, but why are we okay, why are we appropriate to introduce foreign students to study in Japan? Because personally, I study in different countries, right? I moved to Japan when I was 5 years old, and I also grew up in the US, right? I studied in different countries, including US, Australia, UK, and Japan, right? Right now, I'm a student at the University of Tokyo in Japan, so I have personal experience with how to get into a Japanese universities from abroad, right? Also, I lived in Tanzania for 2 years. When right before I came back to Japan to study in the University of Tokyo, I was living in Tanzania. So I applied to a university in Japan from Tanzania, right? So I understand, and sometimes it might be a little bit difficult for African students to apply to Japanese universities, but it's possible because I have done this before, right? So I can tell students about my personal experience of applying from Africa into a Japanese university. So this is the reason why I am interested in helping foreign, especially African students get into Japanese universities. It's mostly personal experience, right? So what are some of the benefits of studying in Japan, right? This is what will interest many students. One is about salaries, right? So these are some of the average salaries in Japan, right? So on average, a Japanese university graduate, when they graduate, they find a new job, they get paid around $40,000 a year. Yeah, so this is I think is a fairly good salary. And for people who live in Tokyo, where I live, it's more than $50,000 a year on average, right? And some jobs, like on the IT consultants, they get paid even more, right? They get paid $58,000 a year. So one of the attractions for foreign students to study here is that after they graduate from Japanese universities, they can work in the country and get a good salary, right? So I think these numbers makes it a little bit obvious, right? So many students who might be interested in developing a career here, this will be some of the things that they will be looking at, right? But at the same time, getting a job here is very easy. The reason is that right now there's a shortage of worker in Japan, right? There are very few children here, and there are many jobs. So actually, there are 2.5 jobs for every person who's applying for a job here. So that means the unemployment is very low. And it will only become lower in the future because the population in Japan is decreasing, right? Right now we have about 130 million people in Japan, but by the end of the century, it will become 85 million. So Japanese population is shrinking very fast. So they're trying to look for workers, but just Japanese workers is not enough, right? They need more foreign workers. So that's why there is a lot of interest from Japanese companies to find foreign workers because they cannot find enough Japanese workers to work. So because there are fewer workers available, that means the average salary will only increase in the future. So it's a very good situation to be a foreign graduate in Japan at the moment. So I want to provide this opportunity to more students who still don't know about such opportunities. Now, on the other hand, of course, after graduating, you can make a good career. But what about studying itself, right? So one of the great benefits of studying in Japanese university is that it's very cheap for foreign students as compared to universities in Western countries, right? I give you some example, right? For example, in the US, 1 year of tuition is about $44,000. In London, in the UK, is about $38,000, right? In Australia, it's about $36,000. It's about $26,000. So all of them are quite expensive, right? But here in Japan, right, in the University of Tokyo, where I currently attend, it's only $5,000 a year, right? So it's about 20% of what the same thing would cost in Western countries, right? So compared to other countries, the study in Japan is a lot cheaper, right? And also at the same time, Japan has a lot more scholarships for foreign students compared to Western countries, right? Many students will be very interested to see if they can get scholarships to study in Japan. And Japan has a lot more scholarships. So in Japan, the government agency called Japan Student Service Organization, every year they publish a pamphlet of different scholarships that are available to foreign students, right? So I give you some numbers from the 2019-2020 pamphlet. So there are many different kinds of scholarships available. One is Garmin Scholarship. National Garmin Scholarship, you get free tuition, so you don't have to pay for your school. You also get free airplane ticket from, for example, to Ghana to Japan, and if you need from Japan back to Ghana, the scholarship will pay for that. And aside from paying for your tuition and paying for an airplane ticket, they also pay you in cash so that you have the money to live in Japan. So every month you get about $1,400 in cash. Yeah. There are also regional government scholarships. Also get free tuition and close to $1,000 in cash every month. And there are more than 90 private foundations, right? These are with different companies or different NGOs that they offer their own scholarships. These are not related to government, but they also offer a lot of money, right? And on average, we're looking at about $1,900 per month in cash given to foreign students, yeah? So that they can pay for tuition and pay for their daily expenses. Yeah. So there are, just in this pamphlet, there are more than 120 scholarships available for foreign students. And each of these organizations, they give scholarships to multiple students, right? So just these scholarships, they can benefit thousands of students who are studying abroad in Japan. So having more scholarships is a benefit for students, right? Aside from having scholarships, foreign students, while they're studying in Japan, can also earn money, yeah, while they're living in Japan. So a Japanese student visa allows students to work up to 28 hours a week as a part-time job. And when they're not in school, they're allowed to work full-time. And many part-time jobs in Japan tend to pay very well. For example, if you teach English in Japan, it pays about $39 an hour, right? If you work in a store or restaurant, it pays slightly less, but it pays about $14 an hour. And if you work in construction or maybe factory, maybe warehouse, you get paid about $28 an hour, right? So for students who want to work, right, aside from getting scholarships, they can work to get more money, right? So this will be an additional way for students to get the money they need in order to live and to study in Japan. So this is like a second option outside of scholarship that students can finance their studies. So many students, I think, will be very interested in being able to work while they're studying at the same time. So Japan gives you that option. The visa gives you that option. So those are some of the benefits of studying in Japan, right? At the end, I just want to talk a little bit about how our organization can help students get into universities, which I already mentioned a little bit in the beginning. So what we do is help you find information about a few things that you need to study in Japan. For example, for many Japanese programs and living in Japan, people need to speak Japanese language, at least to some degree, right? So for many students, they want to know how they can go about learning the Japanese language. So we can help students find online classes so that they can start studying Japanese on their own before they even consider joining a Japanese university. Okay? We can also provide information on where to apply, right? We have many partner universities. Many of them are already listed on our website. And we provide information on how to apply to these universities and which university will be good for each student, right? Students have different interests on what they want to study. So we can tell each student, okay, maybe you, based on your interest, should consider applying to this university and not the other one, right? So we can provide information on that. And then we can provide information on how to apply to those universities and scholarships, right? So this information is on our website as well, but each university have a different way of applying, right? They have their own application procedure. So we will provide information to students about all of these procedures, how they can go about applying to the schools that they're interested in. And once they get into the program, we can provide information on what is it like to live in Japan, right? Of course, students have never been in Japan, so they probably have questions about what is it like to be here, what is it like living here. That sort of information we can provide because, of course, we all live in. I live in Japan. All of the members of our organization all live in Japan, so we have a lot of personal experience on what is it like living in this country. So we can provide information on that. Lastly, as I mentioned, we have very direct partnership with many Japanese universities. So we have direct contacts with admission officers in many universities. So we can get information about programs that they offer that maybe it's very difficult for students to get themselves, right? So we can summarize that information and provide it to you, provide to the students in a very, very easy to understand manner, okay? So this will provide students with tips and advice to help them get into the universities easier than if they are to do this research themselves, right? So that's it. We have our website, we have Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. All of these students can use to find more information about us. So yeah, we'll provide these links to students later on so that they can follow us on our website, on social media, so that when we have new information, they can be informed right away. Okay, that's it. This is basically a little presentation that we want to go over with the students. Yeah. So it shouldn't take more than 30 minutes of the students' time to go over this presentation. And after that, we want to open up to the students to answer any questions that they might have about what is it like to study abroad in Japan, what is it like living here, etc.
As a private
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Have you finished with the presentation?
Yes, that is finished.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay.
Okay. So maybe we can ask some questions now. Can we?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, the floor is open. Deans, please feel free to ask questions. I have a number of them, but I wish to listen to you first. Please ask any question.
Yeah, okay, Prof. I would like to ask the question.
Yes.
Yes, please.
From the presentation, I realized he was saying he has a lot of partner universities.
Yes.
Are they partner universities that you have a signed MOU with them? That is the first question. I want to give you, then you answer altogether.
Yeah.
And the second one is it also possible that if you have MOU with them and then you realize Yale University, you have 3 scholarships there or opportunity for students, then you communicate to ATU, then ATU will see how they can send students to Yale University. Is it possible we can work from that angle also, so that ATU will work with you directly, not you working through the students, but we worked with you to link up with the students? Thank you.
Okay. So 2 questions. The first one, do we have any? I think there might be a misunderstanding of what we exactly do. So I just want to explain a little bit about what we do, right? So we're not a recruiting agency. We don't help students get into universities. We provide them with information. So we do not apply to the universities on the students' behalf. The students need to apply to the universities themselves, right? So we're only providing the information to the students through our website, right? With the help of universities. So with that said, we don't have an MOU with our partner universities to help students get into their universities. But we have an MOU with them to provide their information to other places, to potential students, right? Yeah, so that's our MOU with them. Yeah. We're not a recruiting agency, so we do not. We do not.
Clear.
Yeah, it's very clear.
So
okay.
The MOU they have is with their universities abroad there, so that they can take the information and share with university in Africa for people now to apply. But they don't actually act on the application themselves. They don't facilitate that. They only inform. So if you are informed and you want to go, then it's your business. I think that's well understood.
That's clear. Yeah. Also, if any other organization tell you they can apply on students' behalf, it's probably illegal. Japanese universities does not.
The question that comes directly.
Sorry,
the question that comes directly is that how do you charge? How do you get benefit from that work you are doing?
Oh,
do you charge the student?
No, we don't charge anybody. We're a nonprofit organization. We're a student organization, so we're just helping students. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is completely free. It's free for the students. It's free for the universities. Yeah, we're just the information. We're just providing information to people. Yeah.
Okay.
We're not a business. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. So the second question, let me answer is it okay for us to work with ATU rather than the students themselves? I think that is possible, but I think the difficulty is that every student, they have different interests. So we cannot say, okay, all of you students should apply to this school. It's very, very difficult to say because everybody have different interests and they want to apply to different programs. So I can, of course, provide you all the information about our different partner universities, and you can choose which ones to send to the students. I think that's totally possible. Yeah, but at the end, the student has to apply, right? Yeah.
So, sorry to come in, but I think the interest in that second question is to see how maybe some of the scholarship can be secured towards maybe it's a dedicated institution. You know, the scholarship process is tough, and it's not
Yes.
always obvious that if you compete globally, you get it.
Yes.
You have a lot of people competing from China, US, and wherever,
That's
and
correct.
Africans are not at advantage of getting the scholarship. So the partnership and the idea the Dean was putting is that, is it possible we can like secure some 3 or 4 and say, oh, for this institution, we have got 4 for ATU. Up to you to get the people who can apply for it. That's the idea, rather. Is it possible?
I have spoken with our partner universities about this as well, and they're very hesitant. The reason is that we're not the only organization that's providing information to African students. There are many other organizations that do similar kind of things, and everybody asks the same question, right? So everybody wants a few scholarship guarantee for their students, right? And it's very difficult for the universities to say yes to everybody, right? Of course, I will try, but usually what our partner universities tell us is that students should first apply to get accepted into their university first. Once they are accepted as a student, then for them to get a scholarship through the university's admission and scholarship office is much easier than if they are to get into they are to get a scholarship first and then apply for the university, right? So the universities, they prefer that the students get accepted first before they can talk about scholarships.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
But I understand your concern. I will try. I will try my best to try to get scholarships secure for ATU students. But I have to say, this is not going to be easy.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, please, more questions. The floor is still open for more questions. Dr. Winful, are you okay?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Okay, let me throw one question whilst we are waiting for more people to intervene. I have a question. I mean, when I look at the salaries for students in working there, it looks really big for me. It's really big.
Salaries.
For instance, people working in the construction work that can earn up to $28 per day.
Yes.
I mean, per hour.
Yes.
That was per hour.
Yes,
I just multiply by 8 hours. It gives me $224 per day. I try to multiply by 30, $6,720 in a month.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of money.
Yes.
So the question I ask is that, how is the cost of life?
Okay.
That level of salary.
Yeah. So I think you're talking about this slide, but okay, let me give you an idea of how much it costs, right? So on average, so I'm living in an apartment here by myself. But in universities, they have dormitory for students, right? For student housing, right? So on average, the student housing, it costs something like $400 a month, right? 400 to, if better ones maybe cost $600 a month. So that's for student dormitories. That's for housing. For food, if you go to a restaurant for a meal per person, it's about $10 to about $20. If you cook for yourself, maybe you can spend about $3 per meal, right? Depending on what you cook, right? So that's about the regular price, for living.
No, it's still good.
Yeah.
It means you make a lot of profit.
Yeah. Of course, as I put here, you can only work for 28 hours a week. So of course, many students, they will be busy with their schoolwork. So they won't even be able to work 28 hours a week, right? They won't have the time. They have to go to classes.
Then it's normal to me now.
Yeah.
If it's 28 hours a week, then it looks fine for me now.
Yeah.
My calculations are okay now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still good. I mean, it's a strong motivation factor. But the other factor is the language.
Yes.
When they apply, do they teach them the language before they get the admission, or they can get the admission, and when they come, then they study the language first?
So it depends on the school. Some programs are completely English. In that case, you don't need to study Japanese language at all to be in the university. Okay, but most of the program, the majority is Japanese, right? Maybe they're maybe 90% Japanese, 10% English, or 80% Japanese, 20% English. So for these cases, they will require students to first enroll in Japanese language school, maybe for half a year, maybe for 1 year, depending on how fast they can progress. And after they finish that language school, then they enter the university program properly. Okay, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so I mean, ideally, if students are interested, they can enroll in only English program. Those kind of programs exist, but there are very few. But that is the best. That's the easiest option when it comes to language. But yeah, but as far as working is concerned, you still need a lot of language, Japanese language, in order to work in Japan.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's always a good idea to learn the language.
Okay, colleagues, more questions? Are there more questions? I think you tried. Living in Tanzania, how was it? How old were you when you were in Tanzania?
I was there 3 years ago. So
Ah,
yeah, so right now I'm 32. So I was about 29 when I was there.
then you suffered a little.
Yeah.
How was the temperature like? And how is the temperature in Japan?
The temperature. So Japan has very clear 4 seasons: summer very hot, winter very cold. Right? So it's very different from Ghana. Yeah, Tanzania and Ghana are very similar. Yeah, it tends to be, sometimes it's very hot, but it never gets very cold.
Never.
Yeah.
I mean, rarely.
Yeah, so it's the same in Tanzania. Tanzania, it never gets really cold. You never need more than long sleeve shirt to survive there. Yeah, in Japan, in the winter, you need big coat. Yeah, it's very cold in the winter right now.
Oh, okay.
Right now, outside it's 1 degree, 2 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very cold.
It's not easy. But then it's okay.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hello.
Madam,
I
you are-
want to find out what about if you are there after 1 year, you still cannot use the language to study. What happened?
So there are people who enroll in language school for 3 to 4 years because they cannot learn the language fast enough. There are people like that. Yeah, so it really depends on the person. Some people, it takes longer time to learn the language. There are many people who finish in half a year, right? And they learn enough to be able to study in a program and to be able to work part-time. Yeah, so I think, of course, it depends on the person, but because in Japan, mostly everybody just speak Japanese in everyday life. When students come here, they're in this environment, they can learn the language much faster.
Okay.
They have no choice but to speak Japanese. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Pastor, are you okay? Okay. I have a yes. I have a last question for you. We
Please.
are government institutions, and whatever we do here matters a lot for us, and we are mostly concerned about our names, the security for our students, and another aspect. So when we are trying to put students to the fore in a certain collaboration like this that go from country to country, our interest is to preserve, their own interest and their safety, their security in the first place.
Yeah.
So this also brings about we knowing the credibility of the company we are dealing with,
Yeah.
and how sure are we that yes, what they are saying is what they do. Because if something turns wrong, then the institution takes liability, and that becomes very dangerous for us as a government institutions.
Yeah.
So how do you assure us that yes, this discussion we are having, you've had it perhaps with some institution before,
Yes.
and then this collaboration has worked. There is a track record that this information was provided to some other institution, and probably students through this went ahead to study in Japan.
Yeah.
And any form of credibility, we need some information
Yeah.
to have the assurance.
Yeah, so our organization is very new. We started a few months ago, so unfortunately, we don't have much in terms of students coming in right now, especially because of COVID. Right now, we don't have any foreign students that came to Japan because of our organization. Right now, it's very difficult, but I can provide you a list of other universities that we contacted in Ghana, in Africa in general. To assure you that you're not the only university that we contacted about the same sort of.
Are we the first university you contacted in Ghana?
No, you're not. But you're the first one that agreed to have this sort of meeting with us.
Okay.
Yeah, we contacted many other universities. They haven't got back to us about meeting like this one. But
Okay.
one thing I want to assure you is that we are not putting students in universities. We are only connecting students to Japanese universities. And these Japanese universities that we work with, they are very, very credible universities. They have a long history of operating as a university. They have tens of thousands of students that went through these universities. So yeah,
Okay,
if
let me. Okay, I think I like your answers. If you can share that list with us by mail, we'll be very happy.
I think,
to know
yeah,
the
that'd be
institute
great.
you
Yes,
contacted.
yes. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I want to push a last thing before maybe others will come.